rug later because there was no reaction from Moscow. Someone had probably waited for that. The local authority is waiting for the ministry is waiting for the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is waiting for Gorbachev, just like dominoes. Because everything turned out well, all was swept under the rug.
Let us see a few hundred refugees leaving the Hungarian soil via those open gates to Austria. If that night or next morning I am not getting a call from the Soviet ambassador asking for an urgent meeting, that would be the best result of this picnic. So, yes, it was a test for me, testing the horizons or the limits of our reforms vis-à-vis the Soviet tolerance. I did not get the phone call from Moscow or from the ambassador.
Meanwhile, 60,000 Germans remained in Hungary, and Berlin was doing its best to keep those refugees from ever moving west.
You know, they sent a lot of Stasi agents to Hungary. They criticized us publicly in their press. They sent messages to Moscow, waiting for a support from Moscow vis-à-vis us. Fortunately, Gorbachev decided not to intervene in this debate.
Nemeth был серьезный человек.
Nemeth was a democratically minded leader, a democratically minded person, and he was a serious person. And perhaps it was the Hungarians and the Czechs who also had more of a relationship with Germany than others.
Beyond the political pressures, there was also the humanitarian concern about the people involved, the East German refugees who were trying to push their way across the border into Austria, being held back by the border guards who were resorting to warning shots to scare off the crowd.
On the 21st of August, an East German refugee died. And one of my closest aides told me that morning, if you don't rush, and if you just wait, and if further death penalties happening on the borderline, history will mark on your conscience.
Prime Minister Nemeth made his decision. Hungary would allow East Germans to cross into Austria. It was only a matter of time.
There was a big delegation from East Germany, and the head of the delegation visited me in my office. And nearly on his knees, he begged me to withdraw the decision. By that time, he knew that what will come a few days later on. He begged me. I said, no way.
September 10th, 1989, 3 weeks after the Sopron picnic, the announcement came in an anticlimactic way. In an interview on live television, Hungary's foreign minister fielded a question about the German refugees.
We will allow them through without further ado, and I assume that the Austrians will let them in.
Within hours, the German refugees took flight. Within 3 days, 22,000 East Germans walked through the Hungary-Austria border and into freedom. Hungary, Europe, and the rest of the world would never be the same.
We and the Poles, we have taken a different path vis-à-vis the future and the main aims of so-called socialism. We knew that socialism was a dead end.
We have found a circle of friends here, relatives, my family. We're very content here, really very content. There will always be the feeling of where home is, which will never be forgotten, but our life is here now.
This is the first time that we've come back to Hungary, because we are now ready to contemplate all of this and to revisit the same places we were before. And I mean, the good thing is that the life that awaited us was not an easy one. We had 2 kids, and we basically started with nothing. Nothing. And one has to make sense of it all, and eventually come to grips with it.
For me, it was a historical day. How should I say? It was very good. It was the beginning of the end of communism.
It wasn't politics that caused this opening, but the people themselves. And along with it, this touching scene, crying, laughing, running, sitting on the ground, and these human actions point to it.
For 20 years, she's been out there in the field. She's never been afraid to challenge herself or other people. Now, every night, she'll challenge all of us to take part in a global conversation and confront the people responsible for what's going on in the world, who have done it or know how to fix it, to really get